Yo, we got another hot hitbox video. That's kind of goes together, right? We got another hitbox video from King J team member ImortalXSoul. So yo, go and check it out. Give us a subscription. Make sure you leave a comment. Go check out the hitbox as well on their website. But other than that, take it away, ImortalXSoul.
What's good, people? Today I'm going to be talking about Tekken and 3D input. So if you came from my last video, which was kind of just an overview of the hitbox, now I'm going to talk about specific Tekken benefits, why using a leverless style controller will benefit you in 3D games such as Tekken. So let's get into it. Okay, so now I'm on Tekken. I'm going to kind of explain to you what the benefits are for using a leverless style controller, because I kind of touched on it in the last video, but I really want to go in depth into why you would use a leverless style controller for Tekken. So Nina is another character with a sway back, so you can't do back QCB, back QCB, because she's just not going to backdash. You have to do the proper method, which I'll show you now, which is normally you would just do back down, back down, back down, back. That's the cancel, but you would use SOCD if you're on a leverless style controller. And look at how fast she's moving. You can already see the benefit. So the benefit of using hitbox would be to create space. So usually you would do a backdash like back down, back down, back down, back. But this can be very strenuous on the fingers, and actually it's very unintuitive to do it this way on a hitbox. Similarly with I don't know, the fake backdash, I want to call it. I want to call it a fake backdash because it's still valid and it still creates space. So however you want to backdash is valid at the end of the day. But she does not have access to that way because she has a sway back. So I can't do that method with Nina because she's just not going to go anywhere. So you would have to kind of use SOCD to maximize spacing. Look how quick she's moving if you use SOCD. Insane. Of course, you can still backdash this way with no SOCD. You can find a way to do it with no SOCD. And as you can see, it's slightly valid. I mean, she's moving, but nowhere near as much as this. And the thing is, with SOCD, you can control the spacing of backdashes. So I can mash it and she's not going to go anywhere. So you will have to space it. See what I mean? Like, she's covering more distance than if I just mashed it. Because I'm mashing it now and she's not going anywhere. But if I space it correctly, she's going to maximize the distance she covers with a backdash. So that's one massive benefit of hitbox. Secondly, consistency. So I'll dive a bit more into consistency because I mentioned it in the last video, but I didn't really explain it other than like component lifespan. But I want to talk about inputs in the game. So if I'm pressing QCF, you're always going to get QCF. So I think inputs are way more consistent for me personally than inputting this on a pad, because sometimes I would get like a down forward. So that type of input you can see on the far right, I would get that on a controller, and sometimes the game doesn't recognize this as a QCF. As you can see, I did about 10 QCF ones in a row, and that just goes to show the kind of consistency benefits of this controller. So I'm going to pick Master Raven and show you another reason why hitbox is more beneficial to me personally as a player. I'm a competitive player with Master Raven, so I'm going to tell you why I think Master Raven is better on a hitbox. So as you can see, I've now picked Master Raven, and I main Master Raven, so I kind of know pretty much everything about the character. So I'll tell you why I think using a hitbox is beneficial to me. First of all, the movement. Because Master Raven has a very good backdash, I can maximize her movement with SOCD. And then her sidestep abilities. Now, typically, Raven does not have an excellent sidestep. It's kind of just average, because she does have a male hurtbox, which means the kind of, how can I describe it? Her limbs are the same size, typically, as a regular size male. So she was male. It sounds very weird to say, but she was male in Tag 2 because she's the master of Raven, but Raven's a code name, so they called her Master Raven, and her subordinate is male. So Raven is a male in the previous games. Hard to describe, but she obviously is a female in this game, a woman. So technically she should have a smaller hurtbox, right? Because that's typically how Tekken goes. If you're a woman, they typically have slimmer limbs and they have a smaller hurtbox. But that's not the case with Raven. So you really have to be on point with the sidestepping. And I just feel like doing stuff like sidestep after moves, jab, and because of the latency benefits, I feel like the responsiveness of the PCB is allowing me to do stuff like sidestep 2-4 punish 10 frame on a whiff that typically would be slow on a controller. And then I can get into position a lot easier. There are a lot of techniques you can abuse and practice on HitBox or all button controllers or leverless style controllers. Stuff like this, I can't do that on a pad. I just can't do that on a pad. If I was able to do it on a pad, I think I'd have to kind of start remapping buttons, and it's just very impractical. And I just want to touch upon like whiff punishment for a second. So typically forward inputs for me personally are quite difficult on pad. I don't know what it is, but I can't seem to get them consistently in terms of like when I want to at a very quick pace. So Raven has a forward 3, which is one of her best whiff punishers, I guess. But with HitBox, I can still maintain my movement and react with a forward 3, whereas like on pad I would have to literally stand there and wait for them to press, and it was low-key preemptive. Like I would have to predict they're gonna whiff and then do it, whereas like I feel like on HitBox it's more reactionary, so I can play how I want to more, because I like to play on a reactionary basis. And I feel like on pad it's preemptive. A lot of stuff is preemptive just because I don't have the latency headroom to account for my reactions, if that makes sense. Maybe that's just a me issue. Maybe it's a skill issue. I don't know. But yeah, I feel like HitBox is very responsive in terms of forward inputs, doing instant while standing 1. Very, very responsive. Most characters feel more responsive on a HitBox, and that's just how I feel about leverless style controllers. Let's talk about 2D for a second. So as we all know, we have guest characters like Geese. Eliza's not really a guest character, but she is 2D. She works on the 2D mechanic. Akuma as well. So they operate on kind of a 2D system where they don't follow the rules of Tekken. That's why they're so strong. But I just want to touch upon 2D inputs real quick. So typically Geese's optimal punish for like a 10 frame. So a 10 frame would be a jab. That's 10 frames. So if they do something that's -10, you can punish it with a jab, right? But usually you would do this or you would do this. That's his optimal punish. But you can actually do Raging Storm from this move. You can do Raging Storm from that move. And the input is very strange. So for Raging Storm, you have to do down back, half circle back, down forward 1+2. Now, you can buffer this in moves. I think the issue is the half circle back. And usually on a controller, it's very difficult to import half circle backs very consistently. But I feel like with HitBox, because it's just a rolling input, it's very easy to get. And the same the other way. See, I'm not really getting any misinputs. It's consistent. The reason why this works is because technically in a quarter circle back, you are pressing down back. And that's actually the first input to activate Raging Storm. So this move activates Raging Storm. So that's the input you would do. Yep. Again, that's the input you would do. It's very easy to do it this way. And because you're only rolling it, it's easy to go from down back to then forward and then half circle back again on a HitBox, whereas on a pad I feel like this is very difficult. So those are my thoughts and feelings on 3D games, Tekken in particular, on HitBox, and why HitBox and leverless style controllers in general offer you benefits over controller and typical controllers like arcade sticks. I will be doing another video on 2D games in particular. I know I covered 2D mechanics briefly at the end, but I want to dive a bit more into 2D games. So Street Fighter, for example. So we'll be doing SF6 next, and I'll be showing you benefits and why you would want to consider using leverless for games like Street Fighter 6 in 2D. Peace.